Arthur, or the alter ego, I should say. Arthur, you're just telling me this.
Yeah. When I was in North Korea, the regime surprisingly showed a Disney animation to its Pyongyang citizens, not entire people. And I watched some like Sleeping Beauty and then Sword in the Stone. I was trying to get cool English name, and then I think Arthur was the one who was the main character, and then it looks like a name and King Arthur. So wow, it's good. And then I want to use that name if I have to use English name. But unfortunately, I was not the country who speak English. So, but I went to China. But after I escaped, and then I started using the name Arthur.
I love it. That's awesome. Well, there's a lot of layers here. You and I were just talking for a few minutes before we got on about all the different like warped worldviews you've had a chance to have in your life just because you were there, and then you were able to defect and come here, and now you're, I guess, living on the other side of the curtain. So I'm sure we'll get into all that today. But let's just start at the beginning. Where were you born?
I was born in Wonsan City, the east coast of North Korea. Now, you guys may have seen the news that Kim Jong-un recently opened the resort in east coast.
Yes.
That's my hometown. So,
wow.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful coastal town, and there are lots of nice views, mountains and beach. So Kim Jong-un himself spent many years, like his childhood, in that town. One big reason is he was hiding from his grandfather. So his grandfather, the founder of North Korea, that Kim Jong-il, the second Kim's children, were not recognized by his grandfather, the first Kim. So in North Korea, the multiple marriage is kind of sin. Like the leader should be model of the people, so he should keep the family as like how do I say, it's like flawless.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nuclear family.
Yeah, nuclear family. So multiple marriage and multiple wives, it's kind of taboo in North Korea. So they cannot emphasize second Kim has a third wife. So Kim Jong-un is the son of the third wife. And then the second Kim Jong-il couldn't tell he has a third wife and has 3 children to his father. So they were hiding from his grandfather. So they don't have any picture with the grandfather. So, Wonsan is the very beautiful city, and Kim Jong-il, the second Kim, has the very nice facility there. So they put them, the whole family there, and they spend childhood. And during their childhood, they secretly visit Japan through, the ships.
Secretly?
Yeah, because, in North Korea, anti-Japan, anti-America, anti-South Korea is the main education and core, the elements to run the country. And imagine that if the sons of the, leader visits Japan and like that, people won't buy that. So they, kind of they kind of secretly visit North Korea. Visit Japan.
It's interesting that, just as a little side note there, it's interesting that the way the company or the country needs to operate is to have these enemies that they point as like the boogeyman, and they call America's, at least across the sea, but then you got Japan and South Korea right there by you, and the people are just trained to be like, that's the reason we exist here.
Yep. That's exactly how North Korea plays politics.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you grew up in this town where they have the water park now. I don't know if we can pull up that video, Joe. I was watching that the other day, like Kim Jong-un walking in a suit through a water park.
Yeah.
I was waiting for him to like actually, put on the bathing suit and go sliding, but I guess that wasn't gonna happen.
No, nobody wanna try to watch him with bathing suit. Yeah, it's like
So these kinds of things that he does, or these are just kind of strictly PR stunts, right?
Yeah, but it's more related to his own personal experience while he was in Switzerland.
right?
He went to Switzerland.
Yes,
when
as a
he was
student.
when he was child. The memory he has is like nice, water park, nice scenery, and then the horseback riding. So when he came back to North Korea, he wanted to build those stuff. So the first thing he did actually, when he took his office, he ordered, make the horseback riding field, and the water park, and the ski resort. Yeah. So this is a part of his project. Yeah.
They just finished this though.
They just finished. It took 10 years.
I was gonna say they're working on it for a long time.
Yeah.
How long's he been in power now? Like almost 15?
He took the power after his father's death.
Yeah.
His father died December 2011. So it's
almost
been like
13
years.
Yeah. So you grew up when you're born. Obviously, you're born into a country that has now been shut off from the world for a long time. You said you're 40 years old. Is that right?
Yep. I'm 40 years now.
Okay, so you're born in the early 80s, early mid 80s, and I guess it had been shut off officially since the Korean War, effectively in the early 50s. So we're over 3 decades in to the kind of curtain being descended around this country. Like what? How do I want to ask this? How did you understand, like, what was the world to you? Was the world just North Korea and outside the borders was like no man's land? Or what was it to you? What did it look like in your head as a child?
That's a great question. And when we were in North Korea as a child and also as a grown man, we never expect outside of information. It's kind of forbidden to access those informations. Even like you will see the news that even those kids watching South Korean drama and American movies, they are arrested and then punished for watching the dramas, right? So I was like, had no idea what outside looked like. And if we guess, many others, they think outside, including United States and other countries, are the same system. Like we have ultimate leader, and everybody listens to leader's decision and leader's word, and leader has a family, inherits the power like that. So that was our guessing when we were in North Korea, when I was young. But after my military service, after I went to China, I realized that, the things are a lot different.
Yes.
Yeah. So that time, I think I started noticing the differences between the North Korea's propaganda and the reality.
What did your parents do? What were they like?
I think they are more, brainwashed in the past. So they were in the country like more than 5 decades, and people are educated to be loyal to the leader and to serve the country. And I mean, in North Korea, the slogan is for the people, for the leader, for the country. So all we are doing is for the country and the public. But the regime make it as a slogan that working for people and the country is equal to working for leader. So ultimately, the ideology shifted. The working for people and loyal to leader is equal, and then we have to ultimately respect and then serve for leader. So protect leader. So main focus is now leader, and we have to listen. So you may heard of the North Korea's main ideology called Juche ideology, which is mainly, emphasizing that your life and your destiny should be decided by you. No one could decide your destiny and your life. But the regime eventually, they changed it. So yes, your destiny should be decided by you. You are the main person who design life. But you don't have such knowledge or equipment or decision-making, knowledge. So we should rely on the leader. And leader has ultimate, idea and decision. So we have to follow him. That's the main, idea right now.
And what was your parents' occupation when you were born?
My father actually served 2 times of high-ranking position, which is directly appointed by the second Kim, the Kim Jong-il.
Is that in the military?
No,
I'm sorry.
my father worked for the economic business side.
Oh, wow.
So he worked for one of the biggest company and as a CEO. And then later he was the board of chairman of North Korea Kumgang Economic Development Group, which is joint venture between North Korea's Defense Committee and the Hong Kong business, businessman.
Because effectively any company there is owned by the government. And someone like your father's put in charge as like CEO, but he's reporting directly, as you said, to the leader.
That's correct.
Okay.
You don't have private ownership in North Korea. You don't even run your own restaurant or even pocket show. So it should be under the company or the government. So it's almost a state-owned country.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, did your father's job, even at the time you were born, have him going to other countries as well?
Not at the time, but he was working on the business between Japan and North Korea. And then I think he went to other country like late 1990s. Yeah.
Okay.
And
so when
then,
you were a teenager.
Yeah, when I was a teenager. He went to Japan, Singapore, and Europe, the business. It's government business, but they are selling seafood and mushroom. The Japanese people loves North Korean mushroom. Yeah, it's a high quality. And then even like when Japanese prime minister visit North Korea, they gave them as a gift, and they loved it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So even though Japan is looked at in the propaganda as the enemy, which effectively they are, there's still business that happens between the two.
Yes, but it stopped in 2005.
Okay.
Because North Korea and Japan has a history after the Korean War. Mm-hmm. They kidnapped many Japanese people.
North Korea did.
Yes, the regime did, but they never recognized the kidnapping. And then when the Japanese Prime Minister Koizumi visits North Korea in 2002, Kim Jong-il, the second leader, he suddenly admitted that we have some people who have like a heroic ideas to kidnap people. So I'm sorry. And then Japan was like, they're all like, this story all blown up. And then North Korea never recognized their kidnapping. And now the leader recognized it. So like the Japan society and the whole political circle, they criticize North Korea, and we should, cut off, diplomatic relationship. And so, eventually Japan and North Korea like that.
So they effectively put sanctions on, is what you would say.
Yeah.
Similar to what like the U.S. has.
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah. But wow, that lasted, they were at least open until 2005. You wouldn't think that.
No. I mean, that's a surprising decision. But so some people criticize Kim Jong-il, the second Kim, that he stupidly recognized. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, and sometimes after the incident, they sent back some of them to Japan.
North Korea sent back some of the hostages, effectively.
Not hostages, but
abductees.
Adoptees. So the adoptees married other people while they were in North Korea, right? So their kids and the adoptees sent back to North Korea. And so even some of them, they were arranged at the family meeting, but in Japan. And after the meeting in Japan, they refused to go back to North Korea. So they basically defected. So, yeah. And then among them, I have 2 high school friends. and I didn't know where they came from. They are like basically white kids. Yeah, Caucasian.
So they're
Two
not
ladies,
Asian at all.
Not Asian, because I went to Pyongyang for language school, and then
Okay.
we have like some foreigners there,
Got it.
and I had a three like white kids there, and one boy and two ladies. So those two ladies are siblings, and then I saw the video that they went to Japan after this the kidnap negotiation, and I later found out that her mom was kidnapped, right? And mom married to American soldier who defected from Korea to North Korea.
American soldier did.
Yeah, in 1960s or 70s, something like that. There are several American soldiers defected from South Korea to North Korea while they're serving in the military in South Korea. Yeah, you'll be surprised, but yeah. True story.
I need to know what weed they were smoking. Very interesting. Okay.
I think they must be drunken, but
Yeah, maybe a little heroin. I hear that was going around back then.
so they married, they have a kids. So they are the kids
Got it.
from them. So we started like 4 years, 3 years together. I'm not close to them, but still I know them, right? They know me. I didn't know, and then it was kind of like rules that we don't ask their origin. So,
Were they strange looking to you, though, in the sense that you hadn't seen people who didn't look like you before?
Yeah, it's strange to me, but it's kind of things that we couldn't ask. They speak very fluent Korean, like North Korean dialects, and sometimes the boy we went to public baths together. Yeah.
Oh, Joe just pulled up one of the soldiers that defected.
It's not just one, there's several.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
This is just one example.
Yeah.
James Joseph Dresnach died in November 2016, was an American defector to North Korea, one of 7 U.S. soldiers to defect after the Korean War. After defecting, he worked as an actor in propaganda films, some directed by Kim Jong-il, who's Kim Jong-un's father.
Yeah, Kim Jong-il, yeah.
And as an English teacher in Pyongyang. There you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they are mostly became actors because they want to make North Korea wanted to make a propaganda video like fighting against the United States.
Same bad guy in every movie.
Yeah, so they act as American, generals, American officers like that, and that's the story. So yeah, those people, and then we never understood where they came from. And then the boy, we went to together public base house. He has all like the golden hairs and then like that. So
Golden hairs.
I mean like blonde. Oh. Yeah. So I was like, oh, but we have like black hairs. So
You weren't trying to bleach yours to match?
no,
Would they let you do that?
no.
I was going to say, that's probably not kosher.
That's another story, but it's forbidden. You cannot do that. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was going to make a joke that sometimes people die here, right? Mm-hmm. And then TikTok, and then I was going to say, very next day you'll be like, you'll be entirely cut off your hair,
Right.
by the regime.
Right. And put in a camp.
Not like camp, but
Maybe not a camp.
Yeah, but you'll be shaped by the regime.
I got you. Okay. I mean, it's sinister, but I mean, I guess we got to make some of it funny. But so that's high school, though, when you go to Pyongyang.
Yes.
But I want to go back to when you were a kid, because it's just so fascinating to me. Like you and I were talking before camera, all the things that are in the background of our life here in America that we take for granted for you don't have, right? Like I have memories of my life that are surrounded around types of music that would play in the background, even if I liked it or didn't. It's like something that's associated with that, or something that would be on the TV, or something that we would do at school where it wasn't, the government telling us what history really was in that way. But you don't have any of that. So you're born into this family where your father is a rising businessman within the regime. First of all, what was your mom like?
My mom was, housekeeper, like, the family supporting wife, and he was not well when she was in North Korea, the health conditions. So
she wasn't.
yeah, So she usually stayed, and sometimes they need to do some public work. So she was mobilized to do some public work.
What does that look like, public work?
Yes, like a cleaning and then helping seafood, factory like that. Yeah.
Okay, so the government could just say, like, you have to go help with this.
So in North Korea, if you're a North Korean citizen, you have to be part of the group. It's a must. So my mom is part of the like community.
Yeah.
And then the communities controls their life, and then every Saturday they have a live session together. So and it's every citizen requirement. So I did too. My dad did as well. So yeah, my mom, and then when she was young, she was a attendant for the cruise between Japan and North Korea. The cruise,
Like the cruise ship?
yeah, cruise ship that Kim Jong Un went to Japan when he was a child.
Oh, like the royal?
Yeah,
Whoa.
yeah. It's a small like cruise ship,
Yeah.
but yeah, still for many years, the cruise ship operated between Japan and North Korea, the Wonsan city, the city I was born. So yeah, that's why we have some Japanese influence at the time.
Interesting. So would you say, God, there's so many layers here. I apologize if we're jumping around a little bit. There's
No,
just,
go ahead,
there's a
yeah.
lot on the table, and I'd love, like, a guy like you can educate all of us out here, because we just think of this very, I'll speak for myself, and I'm sure a lot of people listening, like, we think of North Korea, no pun intended, but like very black and white in the way, like, okay, it's a closed off regime, it's fucked up, they abuse people, and obviously it's all true, but the details of what it's like day in, day out is something a lot of us aren't as aware of. So would you say you were born into a more, if this even exists, upper class form of North Korea?
Yeah. No, my family is like middle class,
Okay.
but we have a classification.
How does it work?
So we have like elite class, the core class, the group, and the middle class, we called it like labor class.
Okay.
And the last one was more hostile, like wavering class. So the wavering and hostile class are the people who have families in South Korea, have families in the United States, or those families, member of family who captured during the Korean War by the South Korean military, and then who has anti-government activists in the past, the people who were imprisoned in political prison camp. So those relatives of the families are classified as the hostile and wavering class. That class is, if you're born with the class, you are not allowed to develop your entire career in North Korea.
It's like a caste system in India, if you're familiar with
It's
that.
more than that.
It's more than that.
It's more than that. So, for example, if I was born with the hostile class, I cannot serve North Korean military. I cannot become a member of North Korean Workers' Party. It's a membership of North Korean Workers' Party is the like a cornerstone for your career in North Korea. So, if I cannot be a member, you cannot be a official military service, and those benefits you cannot get. So you only be a labor worker or farmer.
You know what's kind of odd about that? This is a cynical take, but you think about like the war machines around the world in different countries. The first people they throw at it are the lower classes, because they're like, well, let's just throw bodies at the problem. You would think they might do that, but you're saying it's really the opposite. The military is more of a privilege in a way.
The main reason they don't allow them to serve the military is what the regime is thinking about. If they got the weapon on their hands, and it's risky.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the main reason.
So they don't have a Second Amendment over there.
No. And then like middle class is main, the large portion of the class, like labor class and farmers, all the people who has no like anti-hostile the classification background.
Would you say that's the largest class of
Yep.
the three?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the core class is more like very few people, like family who has been with the founder of North Korea, like fought against Japanese, fought during the Korean War, like close to the founder, Kim Il-sung.
So maybe, I don't know if this is a good example, correct me if I'm wrong, but somewhat similar to like British high society around the royal family in a way?
Very similar.
Okay.
Yeah. So now they become like a loyal family now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're born into the middle
Middle
of
one.
the two.
Yeah.
But your dad ended up being,
Yeah,
by
became a
standards,
high-
pretty
yes.
successful, right?
Yep, yep.
Would you say he eventually graduated to being in that upper
Yeah,
class?
I would say like that because becoming the political appointee by the president or leader of North Korea is not easy, right?
Yeah.
The only in North Korea those political appointee like presidential appointee jobs are like less than 3,000. So yeah, that's a pretty high position, and he was a vice ministerial there 2 times. So later, I think my family became a elite class.
Got it.
Yeah.
You know what? I should have asked this ahead of time. But what is the population in North Korea again, approximately?
25 million.
25 million.
Yeah.
So only 3,000 appointees.
Yep.
Wow.
And it's not like a small country though, compared to Europe and other countries. Yeah, it's
sizable.
fair. Yeah, sizable.
Yes.
But we will go into it later. But the military is more than 1 million soldiers.
They have more than 1 million soldiers in the North
1.3
Korean military.
million soldiers. It's the largest military other than Russia and China.
Whoa.
I mean, U.S. maybe. Yeah, but yeah. Anyway, so what I'm saying is the population is only 25 million, and they have a large amount of military.
And
size.
it's all males in the military?
No.
They have females too?
Yeah, they have females too. Yeah, and mandatory service.
Mandatory service, as long as you're not a part of that hostile class. Right. Okay.
That's correct.
So when you were not an infant, because you don't remember that, but when you're a little kid, 5, 6, 7, whatever it might be, did you... Sorry if this is a little personal, but did you understand like the concept of love? Like, did you love your parents, and did you feel like your parents loved you, or was that harder to understand in a country like that?
I think I could sense that. I mean, the love between children and parents, and it's more. I think it's the same in any society. Love between parents and children are the same.
Yes.
But the reason North Korea is keep highlighting the loyalty to the Kim family is they were trying to raise these young people from very early age to be a brainwashing, children for Kim family. So in schools, we are not taught about the love between parents and children, right? But the love from the leader. Like, even we received some gift, like snacks, and then we have to say, thanks for the great leader every time. And the life and then the family, the food we are having, we have to respect, we have to appreciate.
From the leader.
From the leader.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's God.
They don't describe him as God, and then, but it's almost the God figure. Yeah.
But they do ban religion within the country. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. No religion and no belief. You can only have one belief for Kim family regime. And if you want to, practice or believe the Buddhism or Catholic or Christian, North Korean regime says we have freedom of religion, and they think they make a propaganda videos that you can do whatever you want, right? But in reality, we have only 2 churches in country, in the whole across the nation. but the two churches are for the show. And the one church actually was built before the Korean War.
You said for the show, meaning
For the
like
show,
to
yes.
act like we have it,
Yeah.
but we really don't.
Yeah,
So they put actors in there.
put actors there. Those fake the religious people are mobilized by the regime, and they're all like Workers' Party members.
Are these like Christian churches or?
I mean, the Catholic and the Christian church.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we don't have religion. We are not allowed to have religion. So the one of the biggest sin we have is possessing Bibles, and sharing Bibles with people are the dangerous act.
It's like a black market.
Even black market, even
Yeah.
people who receive Bibles from China and other pastors in China, and then if they share the Bible or they're trying to gathering people to having some Bible reading. No, most of them who have done that captured and arrested, sent to political prison camp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as a kid, I just think about like the regular questions you start to ask, and then you ask your parents, right? Starts simple enough. What is death? What is the afterlife, right? And then eventually you're like 11 and you're like, what is sex? Or, all that stuff. But to start on the simple side, what did you think the meaning of it all was? Like, did you wonder what happens to you after death at any point as like a young kid?
So in North Korea, we do have two lives. One is physical life, and the other is political life.
Physical and political.
Political life. We called it, basically we called like a physical life and political life. So physical life is really we are alive, right? With our own body. The political life is, even though your physical life is gone, you're dead, the political life will be forever. How do I describe this?
Yeah.
So, like, they have literally classified the two lives between physical and then mental, or like, spiritual. But they never say the spiritual, but they keep saying the political life. So, and Kim Il-sung, the founder, the Kim Jong-il, the second leader, they all died, right? But we respect the history of them. And every time we have a large the events, we have to pay respect. The not graves, they are still like the treated as a
Yes.
the live person. So and
they're still treated like they're alive.
yep, there's like a mirror. No, mirror, not mirror. So they don't have a grave.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't burn the bodies. They still keep them as a live person with the treatment. And then they spend the millions of dollars for that.
So that meaning they're lying, I guess what we would say is they're lying in state. So you see
Yes.
their body.
Yeah.
And so they don't describe them as dead?
No.
Whoa.
But I mean, the physical body is dead, but the political life is still alive.
That
They're
is
ruining
so-
the country.
That is so
Running the
sinister
country.
that it's called political life.
Political life. So if, I defected, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my political life in North Korea is dead, even though my physical life is alive. So that's the story. So my relatives in North Korea, their political life is almost going down because they have a family who has defected. So like that.
So you don't have like, so it's interesting. Even a lot of people out there who aren't religious, we have the benefit of growing up in a free society where ideas like this are exchanged, and a lot of the religions have at least a similar theme, which is that there's an afterlife. You want to call it heaven, you want to call it whatever they call it, but if you're good, you go there, supposedly, right? You don't have any concept of that when you're a kid. You're not taught like, oh, you go up into the clouds figuratively when you're dead. You're just told like, oh, for example, these leaders leave the physical world, but they're still political leaders. So we go look at their body and state and say thank you, and they stay on, and you are relegated to that same fate without all the fanfare.
No, they don't emphasize afterlife. They don't emphasize if we, do our good job and we're not going like a heaven. The concept, we don't have such concept. Yeah.
What is good and bad then? How do they teach that? Just the leader?
No. So the good thing is you have to study hard. You have to work hard to serve for people and the leader. So becoming good child for leader is the good stuff. And like bad acting, like not studying hard, and then like, if here, North Korea is a very strict country. They don't have weed. They don't have like drinking problems among kids. Like
that's not the worst thing. That
not the worst.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like a good thing.
We're going to adopt some North Korean policies around here.
So those, except some students, it's categorized as the good and bad. And then the good thing is to be a good child for leader, and bad thing is becoming bad child for leader. So that's how they differentiate good and bad.
So that's expressed to you in school more than anything, it sounds like.
Yes.
Okay.
In school we do have, study, but we do have more like public activity, including there are lots of mission for children. Like after school, we have to collect some random steals or random like waste papers for the school projects, and sometimes school required to students to provide some funding for school beautification and school
beautification.
Project. School project. So it sounds like when we build the school, and then it's all controlled by the school committee or like people who give funding, right? North Korea not like this. So students are cleaning the facility, and students are the main person who do the the construction if they need the constructions. So they might be professional constructions, the minor stuff, and then all students are doing. So
little kids are doing.
Little kids are doing, yes. So they should collect some stones, and then the sand. So there are like lots of missions, like random missions, random requirements. So it's very tough being kid in North Korea.
They're glorifying child labor for you, for the regime, effectively.
They are not paid though. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It's child slave labor.
Child slave labor, yeah.
Like, here's your education that we propagandize to you, and in order to have that, you're going to build this fucking building.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So at home, though, outside of school, you're a little kid. Are your parents teaching you good and bad as well on the basis of what the leader says is good and bad? Are they kind of brainwashed into doing that? Hey guys, if you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It's a huge, huge help. Thank you.
I think it depends on the family, like, and then how the parents value the children's education. So, like, I would say the public education, they emphasize the public moral, like
public moral.
Yeah, you have to respect the elders, and then in the bus, you have to give away the older people and then pregnant women, like the seats, right? Yeah, like that. So
that's positive.
Yeah, that's positive thing. So many parents still like teach them, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't, you're allowed to do that, like that. But I think when I was young, and I was afraid to do some activities against North Korean government rules. For example, watching like dramas, South Korean dramas, and even like playing games, right? We do have, when I was kid, I do have a Nintendo.
When you were a kid?
Yeah, but it's hard to play because we don't have electricity. So.
Oh, you didn't have electricity?
Yeah. Even though, in Pyongyang city, we only had like a 12 or 3 hours electricity. So, and then parents, control the time, right? You have to study, playing games, like, so like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say a little bit similar to this, South Korea and America. Still parents.
I was going to say, the Asian parent culture seems to carry across cultures for sure.
The Asian
You're going to get that work done.
Yeah. The tiger parents are, crazy.
You said it, not me. So you would only have electricity for 2-3 hours a day. And again, you're in like the middle class. You're not in the lower class either. This is a reality for you though, too.
So, in terms of electricity power, it doesn't matter you are like in the middle class or the laboring class. The entire country like electricity. They may provide some electricity to the the core class people because they live in other the compound, the community. They have their own the buildings, right? So they may have some more electricity, but it's more general, like entire country lacks electricity.
What was your house like when you were born and young?
Mostly we live in apartments, condominium. Okay. Yeah. So 2 rooms, 3 rooms, 1 living room, and kitchen. Not like a fancy kitchen and dining room, but people are trying to build more fancy housing.
Yes.
So my condominium was actually built by my dad. So
your dad built it?
Yeah. So he was the CEO of the company, right? So they built a condominium for the company, the executives and the people. So
so all their families could live there.
Yeah. So we had like 2 living rooms and 1 2 bedrooms and 1 living room and kitchen and dining room. It's compared to other, regular people's apartments. It's a fancy condominium.
Okay, but I want to make sure I understood this correctly. The condo you're talking about right there with the living room and the 2 bedrooms, the kitchen, that's for your family only?
No. It's a condominium. So it's like a whole we have more than 30 families living together.
So it's way more than 2 rooms. Right, that's what that's
more than 2 rooms. Yes, yeah. What I'm saying is one. We live the 5th floor, so the 5th floor. Yes, the 5th floor we have like 2 housing. Yes.
So you're talking about when you're referring to some of those rooms. These are like the gathering rooms or the common rooms
for one family.
Everyone, okay.
Yeah, for my family.
Got
yes.
it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, as you said, there's only electricity 2-3 hours a day. Do you keep a fridge and a freezer? I mean, those things usually got to be on at all times. So do they work?
That's a good question. So refrigerator mainly works for some storage, not like properly working for the refrigerating function. Yeah. And so North Korean people developed idea. So they purchased large batteries in their home. And while there was electricity, we charged them. So we kept the electricity. Now it's more, I think we developed more than, here in America, like, solar panel like
yes.
that. When I was there in 2010, we had a solar panel there. Yeah.
In 2010?
Yeah.
That's like an early adopter.
Yeah. So solar panel and the batteries, and even we purchased the electricity generator using gasoline. So yeah, so we are not depending on government's electricity power. Whoa. We depend on ourselves, rely on ourselves.
But is gasoline also something that's in shorter supply too?
Yes, but now high-ranking elite class, they can purchase and they can have those gasoline from China like that. So yeah.
What was food like?
I would say the food, the quality is totally different between core class and the middle class. Even though middle class people are not like a hostel laboring class, right? I have friends while I was in high school and the military. I saw that guy in high school. We don't have a cafeteria in high school. The school never provide a lunch.
There's no food.
No food. We have to make our own lunchbox.
Oh, so they let you bring food though.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So and then we share food, right? Eat together. But that guy, like in the whole year, he only brought like kimchi whole year, 365 days, no meat, no other food dish diversity. So it means that the family doesn't have other source of income to purchase other food, right?
Yeah.
So like that. So but other families sometimes they have eggs and meats, but not many families can afford.
Were you ever hungry?
No.
No.
Yeah. So I mean, as I said again, my father became a business official, and so I never felt I was, I was in starvation. But I'm sure most of North Korean people had the experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did you had siblings as well?
Yeah, I have a
many
younger
siblings?
sister.
One younger sibling.
One younger sister. Yeah.
Is she here in the U.S.
Yes.
today?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Are you guys
Came
really
together.
close?
Yeah. Yep. We
That's great.
are close and trying to take care of each other. So
Absolutely.
I think family is becoming more important right now because we don't have network here. We don't have other families here, and the only thing we can just sharing and then ask help is family. So now I think we are more close now.
Not to skip too far ahead, but just because you're bringing it up right now, do you get, obviously over there's a manufactured, I'd call it, rivalry between North Korea and South Korea because of the propaganda. But now that you're here and you've defected and you're on the other side, do you have a lot of support among some of the South Korean community who lives here? And can you relate, not necessarily in the same experience, but can you relate to them on a cultural level in some way?
Yeah. Actually, many South Korean the communities, like Korean American communities in the United States, they're trying to help escapees. But in United States, we don't have many escapees. It's around like 300 escapees. So some of them get help finding housing or supporting by NGOs, and then especially the church community are trying to help escapees. And many Korean Americans are religious, and their dream is to revive the Pyongyang, the capital of North Korea, as the religious hub. So Pyongyang, North Korea's capital, was once a Jerusalem of the East.
Really?
Early 1900.
Can we Google that? I never knew that. Pyongyang, Jerusalem of the East. I love the history on this.
So many missionaries went to Pyongyang, early 1900.
Why was that?
Like the country is really accepting the religion, even like China. Yes.
Yeah, Joe got it. Here we go. Why North Korea's capital was once called the Jerusalem of the East. Jerusalem, the holy city within holy lands. It's where Jesus preached, died on the cross, and came back to life. It was the birthplace of the church as we know it, and as the gospel spread around the globe, other cities in different countries were referred to as Jerusalems because of the number of Christ followers who gathered there. Perhaps one of the most surprising of these cities is Pyongyang, the capital of North Korea. For the past 2 decades, North Korea has been one of the most dangerous places in the world to be a Christian. I'd say more than 2 decades, but its capital used to be known as the Jerusalem of the East. So what happened to cause the massive shift? All right, so it goes through the whole history. Maybe we can. This is on worldhelp.net, so people can see that. But hold on, I do want to see. In 1905, everything started to change when Korea fell under Japanese occupation. Prior to that, though, the rise of Christianity in Korea began in 1884 with Horace Allen. He was an American physician who worked for the royal family. He was also a Christian. After saving the king's life, Allen received permission to preach the gospel in Korea. Upon hearing the news, missionaries from all around the world, there it is, poured into Pyongyang. Once they arrived, they planted churches, established universities, and built hospitals. This led to a generation of Christ followers stepping into positions of power. These new leaders had biblically inspired aspirations for the country and a passion for social change. Thus, Pyongyang became the Jerusalem of the East. Wow.
Yeah. But think about that. The country once called religious hub. Now, no religion. Only religion we can have is the Kim Il-sungism. The country, the founder guy. So they dismantled the whole churches. I heard that there's so many churches in North Korea at the time. Even one of my American friends, his mom was born in Pyongyang, early 1900, because they went to missionary, right? So there are lots of, the people in North Korea at the time, they, believe church. And then... later, actually, the founder, Kim Il-sung's mom, was devoted Christian.
Oh, she was?
Yeah. So he was in a Christian family, grown in Christian family. Later, he dismantled the whole Christianity.
So he renounced it completely himself, obviously.
Yeah.
And do you think, I don't know if it's this simple of an explanation, but is that just a means of control, effectively? That's really the only motivation there?
That's correct. The country is now focusing more than controlling, more controlling than other, the priorities like in U.S. or other countries, right? Like a free democracy society, we focusing and prioritize people's well-being.
Sure.
Now, North Korea doesn't care about people's well-being. It's more about controlling.
Right.
And then among controlling, I will provide some, people's well-being. So Kim Jong-un built a resort. I did this for people, but people cannot enjoy that. They cannot afford those luxury resorts. And another thing is those resorts were built, right? And how they can sustain, how they maintain the whole resort. They are not selling this resort to North Korean people with the cash, right? The US dollar bill. If they accept North Korean men, the inflation and people, I didn't say it, but North Korean people's average salary is 50 cents, less than $1 per month.
Per month?
Yeah. So technically in North Korea, no one is relying on the payroll system. So it's a miracle country.
50 cents a month. Now, obviously, in any translation, that's going to be nothing. But are things worth so little there that some people can live on that?
No. In North Korea's the law, other income than the salary is illegally earning. So technically, you are not allowed to do market activity by the North Korean law. But North Korea cannot provide the necessity and enough income to people, salary to people, so they just close eyes on the market activity. But they are not legally protected. So at any time, at any moment, the regime can seize the asset of whole nation. Any people's asset. So even though my father was vice ministerial, he got paid $1 per month. And
$1 per month?
Yeah, but it's not the ending. And we have duty. Everybody, especially the high-ranking people, they have a duty. They have to contribute those earnings to the Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-il Foundation. It's basically like a foundation for the leaders, the spiritual, the things, building the statue,
rockets.
stuff. So my father's accountant, the company account, automatically cut off the salary and then send the salary. So, and there was a following question: how do you guys live?
Yes.
Yeah. So, for business officials like my dad, when we do business between like international business, we sell products to like Japan, China, right? And also in North Korea, we do have government pricing system. Government give you the price. For example, if I sell coal to China, the government will decide the price. So you have to sell the coal $50 per metric ton. Other than that, if I sell $60, and then that's my earning. Do you get that?
Meaning you're saying if I decide to go around the government and sell it for 60,
No. Government decide the price. Will give you the price. You have to sell over $50. $50, I have to pay back the government.
Right. So if you sell it for 60, you make a $10 profit.
Yes.
Got it.
But I mean, $10 profit won't be my whole profit, but I have to,
Right.
giving back to a company like that. But so that's the, life technique for the many North Korean business people. And other authorities like, security agents and other like, party like officials, they're basically living on bribery.
On bribery.
Yeah, they take briberies. And even like force them to bribe them. Or like technically, robbing the money. So
Isn't that so risky though? Because like if either party gets reported by one other person, you're done.
But
right?
you don't have incomes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So even though it's risky and everybody's doing the same thing, so everybody is like sharing the same,
Yes.
practice. But when things goes wrong, and that's the destructive the life.
Wow.
So sometimes Kim Jong-un mentioned like, oh, people are corrupt, and then, yeah, the government encourage the corruption. They don't pay
Yes.
enough money, and how people, keep their lives, right?
I mean, they know it goes on because they know they're not paying people money.
Yeah.
They know people have to have some sort of means to survive. It's like a fucked up fantasy land thinking about it, because it's not even monopoly money they're playing with. They're playing with monopoly like plastic coins, effectively. You're talking about your dad's a CEO of a government sponsored entity and he's making $1 a month. Like what do you think the farmer's making?
Almost less than 50%.
It's crazy, man. Now what was the economy when you were growing up running on? Because, and this gets a little complicated too, because I know China has kind of allowed North Korea to exist in a lot of ways because they're sanctioned around the world, and now they're even sanctioned with Japan. But when you were growing up, outside of the propaganda of what the leaders said they were making money on, what were the actual things that were like, this is what is keeping a couple lights on here?
So North Korea has a history relying on China and Russia. I mean, Soviet Union before Russia.
Right.
So the Soviet Union still run the system supporting each other, Soviet bloc economy. So, Soviet Union collapsed in early 1990s, 1989 to 1990. So before that, North Korea still got, supplies from China and Russia. So they distribute those basic necessities to people.
Yes.
So that's how, North Korea's distribution system worked.
What would they trade for that?
There are some stuff that to trade, but basically mostly the Russia and China give them for free.
Subsidize them?
Yeah, subsidize them.
Why would? Let's start with Russia. Or the Soviet Union at the time? Why would they do that?
Soviet was the main country who supports Kim regime from the beginning, and then they want to keep the socialist, blocks like that. And
Got it.
Soviet has the huge economy, and for giving some money to North Korea, it's like not that big, portion.
It's a business expense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like give them,
Got
just
it.
leaving. And then the founder Kim Il Sung, he played between China and Russia. So if Russia refused to give something, and then I go China, and then he gets some, he got some stuff from China, especially like the crude oil, like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Good negotiator.
Yeah. So he played well between China and Soviet Union.
Now, but were there? You mentioned you had trade with some of these other countries. So, like, what kind of exports? You mentioned mushrooms. What else were they really? What kind of products were coming out of North Korea, if any?
Yeah. Before the the U.S. sanctions, North Korea trade with Japan mainly, and other European countries as well. So especially my dad's company trades seafood, mushroom, and some, coal and gold, and then some the perfume like cologne perfume, element. Yeah, those stuff. Yeah,
They got good cologne and perfume in North Korea, huh?
I'm not sure. Yeah.
At least
I never
it smells
used
good
it.
there.
I have no idea. I never use North Korean products. Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't support the regime. What was the seafood industry though? Because obviously you guys are on the ocean as well. Like I would imagine that had to be okay at least. Like you have a resource right there. It's the ocean's not communist.
Yeah. But still, it's a state, owned, and the state run the fishery, and the processing is all done by like labor workers in the coastal town. So they make they were trying to make a good product to sell Japan.
Yeah.
Japan has a high standard.
Yes.
Yeah. But after the closure of the diplomat relationship between Japan and North Korea shifted the market to China. So they started selling seafood and mushroom and all the products to China. But later, it wasn't enough, like in terms of Chinese consumption. North Korea seafood and mushroom is not enough. And then they realized that labor export is more lucrative than other business.
Right.
So they sent, more than 10,000 labor workers to China.
Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.